Before we install Metasploit, we want to make sure we run the group install for development tools. If yum is already running, what we do is we do a pkill -9 and for yum. So let's make sure we kill that process, then run the process again, yum group install development tools. And these tools are required for the Metasploit framework. So let's just wait for these to download and then we'll install them. Once that is installed, we'll go ahead and download the Metasploit installer. So let's go ahead and make sure all this downloads okay. Again, depending on your connection, it may be slow, it may be fast, just depending on the speed you have on your end. I'm just going to wait for this to load up. And once we have a command to install the packages, we'll click yes, and the installation process will begin. I am showing you step by step how we go about installing the CentOS 7 operating system, how we go about installing Veil, how we go about installing Metasploit, showing you some of the errors that you may encounter on the way and how we resolve those errors. But once everything is running, you will have a great environment for ethical hacking purposes. So right now we're just waiting for all the packages to download, and then we'll go ahead and install that. And once the installation is done, we can go ahead and download the Metasploit framework, change the permissions. So I'll click yes here because we have downloaded all the packages. Now we can go ahead and install these. And once Metasploit's installed, we'll configure that and then start working on how to create our own payloads and how to evade detection by the different antivirus solutions. So I'll just wait for this to complete, and then we can go on to the next step. Just remember to watch for any errors you may encounter and take note of those errors so that we can go ahead and fix them up later on. I am just monitoring the installation process to make sure there are no errors, and you should do the same. Once the installation has been completed, we can go on to install the Metasploit framework, change the permissions, and then get started with the installation of the Metasploit framework. This is almost done. Once that is completed, we can move on with the additional steps. Remember, this is what an ethical hacker would do to create an environment. Not only an ethical hacker, a hacker who's out to do malicious things would also want to create an environment just like this so they could go ahead and create exploits. So you want to get an idea exactly how hackers think, how they work, so that you can use these techniques for good rather than doing malicious things. Remember, if you are using these types of ethical hacking tools, be careful. You don't want to get caught doing something unethically. So let's just make sure that we follow the rules and play above board. Now I just also need to install some SQLite and Java dependencies that are required by Metasploit. So to do that, I type in the following command, which is yum install, and you can see this long line SQLite devel and all the other Java kits that are required. And we'll make sure that this installs, and then we can go ahead and download the Metasploit Linux installer. There are some bits and pieces that are required for all the frameworks to work properly. So we want to make sure that we do the right thing to enable us not to have any errors later on. This is part and parcel of setting up an environment that will be successful for your ethical hacking processes. So again, I'm just running that command to make sure that we install this successfully. And I think I pressed something incorrectly just above, so I'm just redoing that. And once that's done, we can then go ahead and download the Metasploit framework. So hopefully I'll get a prompt to allow me to type in yes. And once that's done, I click yes here, and then the installation is done for these 9 packages. I'll just wait a short while these all install okay, and then we'll get the link for the Metasploit framework from the Metasploit website. And for me, that link will be listed shortly. But for now, let's just make sure the installation goes through okay. I do notice some failed sections here, which we will address later on. But once this installation is complete, we can then use the wget command to go ahead and get the Metasploit framework downloaded. And then we change the permissions, and then we will get on to the installation process. This is almost complete now, and then we'll type in wget with the link to download the Metasploit framework. So this is the link I got, downloads.metasploit.com. You'll see data releases. Yours may be slightly different, but let's just wait for the download to complete. Once the download's complete, we'll change the permissions and then go ahead and install the Metasploit framework on this CentOS 7 machine. The download is almost complete. I'll just change the permissions using the chmod command. So chmod +x is the command, and I will type in the file name for this. And now we go ahead and run the program, latest Linux 64-installer.run. If that all has worked fine, we will get a box pop up on our screen similar to this, which then shows us the Metasploit setup process. I can click forward here and move to the next step. I accept the agreement. Let's forward to the next step. Choose a path. That's fine for now. Yes, I want to install Metasploit as a service. Forward. You want to make sure if you have any firewalls or antivirus, you need to disable that before proceeding. There may be some interference if you have an antivirus or firewall enabled. So make sure you disable that. This is the port that we will be listening in on. This is all okay. Leave that as is. And then I hit forward to then go ahead and install the Metasploit framework. I let this run for a short while, depending how long it takes. And once it has been installed, we will have our Metasploit framework here. I'm using the normal Metasploit framework, which is a free version. If you do want to upgrade later on, you have the opportunity to upgrade to Metasploit Pro, but it's not essential, especially if you're just starting out. The Metasploit framework will give you a ton of tools, a ton of options to play around and create different exploits. And then by using Veil, we'll be able to hide that from activities that are detected, like antivirus solutions and firewalls, etc. So let's just make sure this process completes. It's taken us a short while to get here because there's lots of infrastructure to set up in the beginning, but I wanted to walk you through step by step how all that is completed, errors and all. So if you encounter any errors, you can resolve those as well. So it looks like this Metasploit framework will take a short while. What I think I'll do is I'll let it run for just a short while longer, and if it doesn't complete, what I will do is go to the next video, and then we'll go ahead and use Metasploit more effectively. It looks like it's unpacking the files, and once the files are unpacked, it will then install the Metasploit framework for us. So as you can see, there is a bit of housekeeping required, but we're almost there. We have the Metasploit installation process beginning, and once that has been completed, we can move on to the next step of creating our payloads and creating undetectable malware so that we can show how it can fool different antiviruses by enabling those antiviruses not even to be able to recognize that this is a potential exploit. So let's just make sure this installation works, and we'll go ahead in the next video.